very special guest. Well, his name is Simon. He's from USA, and he speaks three languages and learning his fourth one. So, with pleasure and honor, let's welcome Simon. Hi, Simon. How are you?
I'm doing great. How
All
are you?
right. So, I'm great. So, could you please tell us something about yourself?
So my name is Simon. I'm from America or the USA,
Huh?
and I'm currently an English teacher in South Korea, working at a private academy where kids go after school. And I teach kids ages 6 all the way up to 16.
Mm-hmm.
And as of right now, I speak three languages with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
English is my native language, and I speak Chinese at home with my family, Mandarin to be exact. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned Spanish in school for many years, and I also studied abroad in Ecuador in my third year of college or university, depending on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm currently doing my best to learn Korean. So that's a bit
Wow.
about
Wow, that's great. So, Simon, could you tell us what is the best way for a complete beginner to start learning a new language?
me. Ooh, I think that would really depend on, I guess, the age group or the type of person. But what I generally teach at my job is I start with phonics, so basically learning the sounds of the language, learning learning words, recognizing words, and then being able to just speak basic
Mm-hmm.
sentences and just say like simple things like my name is or I like XYZ or I don't like ABC, something like that.
All right.
And from there, I guess building up like a solid foundation, then starting to learn a little more complex dialogue from there, I guess, while also studying the grammar at the same time. So just
Mm-hmm.
mostly learning through speaking, I guess.
All right. Okay. And how can one learn a language if they are not in their in the country where the language is spoken? Like, for example, if I live in India and
Mhm.
I want to learn Chinese, so how can I learn Chinese in India?
Oh, well, thankfully, we're living in the modern age, so I think it's definitely easier to find a lot of like resources, whether it's through a book or at a library or maybe online. Like with access to the internet, it's made it so much easier to learn other languages. Like that's basically how I started to learn a lot of Korean using a bunch of different online sources and with some books as well that I found that I've either bought or have looked at.
Mhm. Yeah, these days we have, applications, books, audiobooks, a conversation, and many things. Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. And when people start learning a new language, they often feel shy and they hesitate. So, how can they get the confidence to start learning the language they want to learn?
I'd say just practice speaking in like a low pressure environment. I'd say like maybe talk with somebody else who's also learning another language. Just practice saying things. And I guess as a teacher, my job is to improve speaking confidence. So just letting students talk, regardless of whether it's grammatically correct or not. Since I think if people, if teachers overcorrect, students will generally lose their confidence in speaking. So just letting them talk, say whatever, just like not be afraid to communicate and just to be able to get your point across. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Mhm.
So we have to face the fear and start slow and then gradually proceed.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's great. And could you please share your experience, like how you learned your second language?
Well, interestingly enough, English, I guess, technically is my second language because for like until like until I was like 3, I I mostly just speak Chinese at home because my grandparents were also around and they didn't speak any English, and my parents were both at work. So they would only speak to my grandparents would only speak to me in Chinese. Then it wasn't until like after my grandparents moved back to China and my parents were primarily looking after me and I started going to daycare and preschool, that's when I really started to speak English.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, I was still speaking Chinese at home.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I got to middle school, I was given the option to learn another foreign language, so I decided to choose Spanish. And so
Mm-hmm.
I learned Spanish in like a traditional classroom environment up until I think my second to last year of high school. Then I stopped until I got to college or university, and I picked it back up again. And then my third year of university or college, I studied abroad in Ecuador for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me the opportunity to actually like live the language itself and be able to practice it on a regular
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
basis. Sorry. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm in Korea teaching English, I'm trying to become good at Korean myself, just so I
Mm-hmm.
can communicate with people more and make more friends.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's great. So the next question is, when people try to learn vocabulary, they make a big list, they write the words down, then they write the meaning, and then they try to memorize it, and next day they forget it. So what is the best way to learn vocabulary?
Ooh, I'd say one method that I've been trying out is like yes, doing like writing the words down on a list and then putting it into some kind of flashcard app. Like
Mm-hmm.
I personally like to use Quizlet. So then it
Mm-hmm.
tests your knowledge of the vocabulary in different ways. Like sometimes it might ask you to just pick the meaning out of a list of words or type the translation. It really depends. And if it's a word that I'm really struggling to remember, I'll try to write out a sentence using that word so I don't forget it.
Mm-hmm. All
So
right.
it gives it a lot more meaning.
Mhm. So we can make flashcards, stick them in, refrigerator walls.
Mhm.
At the same time, I guess it is like as you said, it is better to learn the whole phrase, like the
Yeah.
whole sentence, so we can learn how to use it and where to use it.
Yeah, because I feel like if you just learn the words without learning how to use it,
Hmm.
it's like learning a bunch of like martial arts moves, but then never actually practicing it
Yeah.
on a like, actual target. So if you're in a real fight, you wouldn't be
Hmm.
able to defend yourself.
That's useless.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. And how to learn pronunciation?
Ooh, I'd say definitely listen to like native speakers when they talk or like a recorded audio file. I'd say
Hmm.
that's probably the best way.
Okay. All right. I noticed that every language has different sounds
Mhm.
and pronunciation. So we can listen to them, but still, when we pronounce, it comes in the sounds of our own native language.
Mhm.
So how can we get better at pronouncing the sounds and also the intonation of the language that we are learning?
Yeah, I think definitely in my case, when I try to teach a sound to a student, for example, in in the Korean language, the F sound doesn't exist.
Okay.
So that's one that a lot of students struggle with. So what I would do is I'll say the sound and I have them like watch how my mouth moves, so then they can try to
Hmm.
mimic
Hmm.
the exact same thing.
All right. Okay. So you show them the position of your mouth.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. And then they copy you.
yeah, or at least they do their best to copy me.
Oh, that's great. And how to find motivation to keep going on, because it takes a long time to learn a language, not that long, but it takes a certain time and people give up. So
Yeah,
how to always stay motivated?
I'd say like if someone's losing their motivation, what they should try to do is remember what made them want to learn the language in the first place. Like what got them interested in it, and just remind themselves of that. And then yeah, try to maybe find fun ways to keep in touch with the language, like listening to music or like watching TV shows or movies and stuff like that that are really interesting in their target language. I
All
think those
right,
would be good ways.
that's great. And I often notice that when people learn a new language, they can learn it, they can master the grammar, the structure, but still they don't speak with flow. They don't speak fluently. They
Yeah, I know
stammer
exactly what
and
you
they
mean.
stutter. So how to speak fluently?
Like I said before when I was talking about like focusing on speaking fluency over grammatical accuracy, just practice practice maybe free talking about any conversation or about any topic that they want to talk about. Like if
Mm-hmm,
someone's really interested in sports, just maybe the teacher or someone could talk to them about sports and just
mm-hmm,
not try to correct them too much on what they're saying, I guess. Just talking about interesting subjects and just slowly saying things that come to mind.
mm-hmm. All right, that's great. And people think that they are too young or too old to start learning a new language, and they just plainly give up. So, is it too late to learn a new language?
I'd say definitely not because I've seen plenty of people that have like or heard about plenty of people that have learned another language like after they've graduated from school or after they're done with school, like maybe
Hmm.
starting to learn at the age of like 18 or like 25, and they've been able to get to like a fairly high level. Like I
Hmm.
really don't think age is something that really matters. Like I guess maybe the environment in which they're learning might play a role into that, but there's definitely a method for everyone that works.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that does, environment. That's great. And uh, after learning, people are able to speak,
Hmm.
but still they feel shy when they want to talk to people. They become self-conscious and they lack confidence. So when we want to connect with people and talk to them, so how to overcome the shyness in communication?
I'd say maybe also try talking to someone else who's also learning another language. So then that
Mhm,
person is probably feeling the exact same thing, and
mhm,
also reminding themselves why they, why they have this fear
mhm,
and asking themselves, is this fear really rational? Like,
mhm,
what's the worst thing that's going to happen if I just have a simple conversation with somebody?
mhm.
Hmm.
All right, that's great. And people want to start reading newspaper, books, magazines, and they believe it's very useful for learning languages, but
Hmm.
they find them boring. And in the beginning, they don't understand what is written in the books or the magazines, and then they give up. So, what is the best way to improve reading and keep going on?
I'd say definitely read like read stories rather than like boring news articles. Like for example, I've actually started to improve my Korean reading abilities by reading a book on Korean folk tales, like traditional stories with like morals to them. And I feel like that's probably going to be a lot more interesting than reading some article about a boring event that happened.
Mhm. All right. Okay. So we should read what we find interesting, and we should start with the stories.
I'd say so. Or like if they, I guess if it would really depend on their level, I guess. Like for low levels, I definitely would suggest like children's stories.
Mhm. Right. Okay, all right. And I often see that when we talk to natives, they speak very fast. And as foreigners, it is very difficult for us to understand them.
Hmm.
So, how can we understand the natives?
I'd say, I guess maybe asking if it's a conversation, asking them to repeat what they said or say it a little more slowly. But if it's like a video or like a news article or like a news video or like a TV show, then that
Mhm.
probably wouldn't be possible unless they use like something like unless it had subtitles on Netflix or something.
Titles, yeah, that helps. That
Mhm.
helps. Yeah, that really helps. And on YouTube, like on any video, we have got subtitles.
Yeah, I think most videos definitely
Oh,
have subtitles,
okay.
so that's definitely helpful.
Yeah, mostly they have in English.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay. And after learning our second language, does it make it easier to learn the third one?
I'd say so because at that point you know exactly what works for you and what doesn't work, so you can there's definitely less trial and error in the process when it comes to learning.
Mhm. Okay, that's great. And what are the benefits of learning a foreign language?
Ooh, definitely you'll be able to communicate with a lot more people, and I think it definitely opens up a lot of different opportunities like travel or maybe work,
Mhm.
and it also puts off dementia as well, according to scientific studies.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, I believe that after we learn a language, like a foreign language, we
Mhm.
have more opportunities in business, career, study, communication, skills, and we can even connect with other people.
And it gives you like a whole nother perspective as well.
Yeah, we get to learn about new people, their tradition and culture.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, guys, so we had Simon with us. He has really helped us, inspired us. Simon, any last words for the audience?
And just keep at it. Just keep finding what motivates you and what's driving you to learn. And just good luck.
Okay, Simon, thank you very much for being with us. I'm really inspired by you and your information, your secrets, your trips are going to inspire people. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Nice day.
Yep.
Bye.
Have a good one.